Welcome in, everybody, to the Landry Football Podcast Network. This is Big Ten football and beyond, taking a look at Week 5 in college football. Interesting action. Got Michigan going to Iowa. Intriguing there. Purdue, Minnesota. Can the Gophers continue their hot streak there? Wisconsin, Brett Bielema taking his Illinois team back home to where he used to coach at Wisconsin. You got Rutgers at Ohio State and Northwestern at Penn State and Michigan State at Maryland. Maryland coming off an impressive performance for the most part against Michigan. Michigan State, anything but in their beatdown at the hands of Minnesota. Indiana at Nebraska kind of brings the bottom of the barrel looking matchup. We're going to get to them all here. A reminder, you can get detailed film room analysis of all of these games, all of the matchups around college football at LandryFootball.com. So make sure that you check it out today. Take advantage of our football season sale. Also, subscribe, like, and share, if you would, the Landry Football Podcast Network and the Off the Hook Sports YouTube channel. That way we know we can get you the more and more of this type of content that you're seeking, hopefully. Also, if you like the Big Ten, you like Big Ten football, subscribe to Big Ten football and beyond. Or if you're a fan of the other conferences, subscribe to ACC football and beyond, SEC football and beyond, whatever is your flavor there. So make sure that you do that as well. So it is an interesting weekend. Excuse me, not prime matchups nonetheless, but I am intrigued by Michigan going to Kinnick Stadium. Iowa scored 27 points for 2 weeks in a row. The defense continues to be great, but the passing game hasn't pushed past 175 yards against some weak defenses, and everything else is a struggle. Iowa's living off of their defense creating points and short fields for their offense. Third down conversions, not been real effective. The ground game hasn't been anything great. And overall, even with the 2 wins, Iowa's still dead last in the nation in total offense. Yet the defense makes up for it. Number 1 in the country in scoring defense. Takeaways are a concern, but there's no ability whatsoever to mount any semblance of a comeback if Michigan gets up on this game quickly. So with all due respect to Iowa State, it's just not anything like what the Hawkeyes are going to face this week. The Michigan offensive front is killing everybody. Blake Corum is running as good as any running back in college football right now, and there's great consistency to what the offense is doing. So can Iowa's defense, the overall style, be enough to stuff this Michigan offense? Iowa hadn't moved the football, as we mentioned, but Michigan is yet to face a defense that can put up even the slightest resistance. So this game clearly comes down for Iowa to their ability to win this game defensively. Can they keep it close? Can they find a way to score enough offense? The Iowa defense attacks more, does a better job of taking the ball away with 7 forced turnovers in the last 3 games, and they're going to try to put pressure on Jay McCarthy. The Michigan quarterback was more than fine in their win over the Terps, but wasn't able to do much with his legs, and the explosiveness wasn't quite there in the passing game. So what is intriguing about this game to me is, what is Michigan going to do offensively? I think defensively they're going to look good against this Iowa offense that can't move the football and can't score points. But what can their offense do against this Iowa defense? This will be quite the challenge. So we'll see where it goes. I do think the route to victory for Michigan is going to be their defense. I think that they're going to not turn the football over, prevent Iowa's defense from getting anything done on that side of the ball, but more importantly, shut down this Iowa offense, maybe force them into some mistakes. That's probably their best path to win. It's a 10.5-point spread. How do we like this game? Final details, LandryFootball.com. Make sure you check that out. Purdue's going to Minnesota in Huntington Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Purdue's going to have to bring the run defense. It got hammered by Florida Atlantic. But the overall defense has been adequate against Penn State, Syracuse. Minnesota is not faced any resistance, any adversity. I know the game against Michigan State sounds great. The pummeling of the Spartans sounds great, but how good was it? Purdue's been through some tight games. The offensive line has been playing well for the Boilermakers. It's been really good in pass protection the last 3 weeks. A bit of a running game to go along with, pretty good passing game. But the key is going to be, pardon me, how healthy is Aiden O'Connell? He wasn't able to go against Florida Atlantic, and that's a big part of it. Austin Burton wasn't bad, but is not going to get it done against Minnesota. And on the other side, Minnesota's offense has been a machine. Tanner Morgan has been outstanding. But it's about the running game. It's the first good team that the Gophers have played, and I think you can question how good this Purdue team is. But it's the best team. Minnesota's playing really well. They look like the better team. Purdue struggled too much to this point to get really excited. Minnesota's going to have to do what they do. Control the game at the line of scrimmage. I don't think Purdue's got enough explosiveness to force the Minnesota to play from behind, particularly on the road for Purdue, but that's what they're going to need to do to have a chance here. Final score, margin of victory, we're working on that. We're going to have that for you at LandryFootball.com, so make sure that you check that out today. Brett Bielema heads back to his former stomping grounds in Wisconsin and Camp Randall Stadium in Madison. Illinois is playing like Wisconsin used to play when Brett was there and beyond. The Illinois ground game is not putting the massive numbers up, but Chase Brown is a good back. The offensive line's played pretty well. The defense has been a rock against the run. They're doing a really good job in terms of pass efficiency defense, and it's dominating the time of possession. How do you beat Wisconsin? Well, if you or Ohio State, that's pretty easy. If you're not Ohio State, how do you beat Wisconsin? Run the clock, win the turnover battle, pound away, stand up to the physicality. The Illini have the balanced attack to do it all against a Wisconsin team that's trying to spin its own wheels. Throw out the blowout to Ohio State. The team is going to rip apart everyone. The Badgers running game still works pretty good, even if it's not the physical dominant teams of the past. And let's forget what happened last week. Wisconsin would like to, and how the defense looked. Wisconsin should be able to hold up better against Chance Brown and get enough pressure on Tommy DeVito. The defense is forcing takeaways. The offense is going to be able to beat the Illini at the ball control game. So we'll see. It's one that Wisconsin needs badly. They're favored by 7. Don't be surprised if this one's a close one. Illinois is very capable of winning this football game that can match the physicality of Wisconsin. But to me, this is a back against the wall type game for Wisconsin. Illinois is better in an improved football team. Rutgers, Ohio State, guys, I would like to make this game a little bit more intriguing for you to watch. But Rutgers is not good at all. They can't score. They're going to have a hard time slowing down, much less curtailing Ohio State's explosiveness. The Buckeyes defensively are going to look good against a Rutgers offense that can't score. This is a name the score like you want it type game. Northwestern goes to Beaver Stadium and State College to play Penn State. What's happened in this Northwestern team? What a disaster of a run. They're losing to Duke, Southern Illinois, and Miami of Ohio. Things aren't going very well. The passing game hasn't been awful. It hasn't been the biggest problem. Ryan Helinski throwing the football at about 200 yards per clip. And they're going to have to keep winging it around a little bit. The defense was really good against Miami's passing game. The offensive line hadn't been bad in pass protection. So there's some fixable issue, but they've got to get back to controlling the clock and winning the mistake battle. They're making too many mistakes. And they do that again this week, and they're going to get blown up at Penn State. There's just no way to look at these teams on film and think there's anything different. The Wildcats just can't stop screwing up. It's completely unlike Northwestern. You live on physicality, playing clean football, smart football. That's what makes you relevant or good, and at times really good. When you are playing sloppy football, dumb football, turning it over, you become one of the worst programs in the country. And it's a perfect example. If it loses the turnover battle, it can lose to Southern Illinois and Miami of Ohio. And they have. -5 in turnover margin this year, 9 giveaways over the last 3 weeks. Penn State took the ball away from Auburn. It took the ball away 4 times from Central Michigan. This game gets ugly if Penn State can have their way and create some turnovers. Northwestern will keep pressing, but I don't know that this game is going to be all that close. Michigan State goes to Maryland. A little bit of a pride check here. There's some talent. This Mel Tucker team and his staff has not had this team well orchestrated this year. Minnesota's good. Washington's good. Those were beatdowns. I mean, it wasn't close. Now, again, you flip those games away. You can't flip out the Minnesota game. You've got to play them there in the league. But if you play a weaker schedule, you might look better. You might be more confident. You might not be any better, but you might look better. It's been a rough 2 weeks. The passing game is still adequate. The mid-range throws are there. The defensive front was pretty good against Minnesota until they got to Minnesota. And, you know, the back end of coverage is bad. This is where I think there's a problem. Maryland has come up with multiple turnovers in just one of the top 4 games, and the offense has given it up 5 times in the last 2 outings. But Michigan State was exposed. The pass defense was so bad last year and was a disaster against the Huskies and Gophers. And the running game that lost Kenneth Walker didn't generate any semblance of success. There's a pretty good pass rush. But the defense can't come up with third down stops. Now it's going to have to deal with a Maryland passing attack that's coming and coming and coming with a lot of good receivers, a good quarterback in Taulia Tagovailoa. 6 different targets, 10 or more catches this year thus far. This is a tough matchup, Can Michigan State control the game? Can they control the clock? That's been the biggest issue thus far. Can they do this? Depends on can they get the running game going. SMU ran well on the Terps. Michigan ripped over 6 yards a carry. Do that, Michigan State, and you got a shot. The turnover battle, they can get that swinging their way. They've got a shot here. And then finally, Indiana and Nebraska in Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. Nebraska on an off week. Can they get the pass rush going? Can the defense do anything? Can they fix anything? It's the worst punt return in college football. Indiana lost to Cincinnati with a lot of mistakes and misfires, but Nebraska defense can't force turnovers. The secondary has been picked pretty clean, and Connor Bazelak can hurt you. The defensive front, they're going to have to play and play well. Nebraska may, off the bye week, play better. Maybe the dramas die down. The defense is still a concern. But I do think, offensively, they should be able to move the football against an Indiana secondary that has been hammered by the likes of Western Kentucky and Cincinnati over the last couple of weeks. So the talent's not there overall. But there is reason to believe that Nebraska can compete. They just haven't done it. Let's see maybe a rejuvenated Nebraska team. I'm going to give them another shot here at home. I'm going to give them a chance. They can beat Indiana. They still have more talent than Indiana. But can they come up with enough defensive stops? That's going to be the key. Check all of this out at LandryFootball.com, where we break down all these games as well as all the games throughout all the conferences of college football and the NFL, giving you a coaching and scouting perspective. check it out there. Take advantage of our football season sale today. And we'd like to ask you to subscribe, like, and share the Landry Football Podcast Network and the Off the Hook Sports YouTube channel. If you can do that, that would really help us to learn a little bit more about what your likes and dislikes are as regard to these type of shows. Again, if you like Big Ten football and beyond, subscribe, like, and share Big Ten football and beyond, or SEC football and beyond, or Big 12 football and beyond, or ACC football and beyond, or Pac-12 football and beyond. We even have a show, if for those members of the Landry Football Podcast Network, that can get the Group of Five shows where we break down those as well. Hey, so we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you over on the website, and we'll see you on another edition within the Landry Football Podcast Network. So long, everybody. Enjoy the games.